When Nancy learns that the Drew's housekeeper has been duped by an elegantly dressed woman into buying a stolen fur piece, the young detective starts a search for the clever swindler. To Nancy's astonishment, she discovers the woman is using the name Nancy Drew. The dishonest acts of the impostor points the finger of suspicion at Nancy herself, and it results of her being questioned by the police. Join me and Nancy as we solve the mystery and clear her name. Let's read The Mystery at the Ski Jump. Hola mis esperanzados, ¿cómo estás? Me llamo La Esperanza 243. Hello my hopefuls, how are you? My name is The Esperanza 243 and welcome to my channel. Today we are doing a book reading, and the book is The Mystery at the Ski Jump, Nancy Drew number 29. And if you have been keeping up on the book reading for this particular book, I am doing this because one of my friends, a mutual friend, I should say, of me and my dad's, her father has died recently. I'm not going to bring up her name because I'm sure she doesn't want any publicity, and probably her family doesn't either. But I do know for a fact that one of her great aunts, who passed away a couple years ago, was the ghostwriter for this particular book, and I was so in awe of that, and when I found out that she died, I decided to read this book in her honor on my blog talk radio show that I had. And since I don't have that show anymore, I decided to go ahead and read this on here in both of their honors. I'm really an altogether nice, sweet, charitable, and honest person, so I just want to put that out there because it's kind of obvious if you've watched my other videos. But I actually do have a couple of announcements before I get to the recap of the previous book reading that I did for Mystery of the Ski Jump. I'm going to be gone, not next week, but the week after. I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. Because I am leaving August 25th, and I won't be back until September 5th. I'm going to be making another video next week and doing a reminder of that for next week's video. And I still haven't figured out what next week's video is going to be. I'll probably bring that up at the end of this particular video. But since I have over 100 subscribers, which is awesome, I can do scheduled videos to make sure that you guys are able to see the videos that I won't be present for those weeks, which is awesome. But since I'm not at 100 subscribers on my gaming channel, I actually do have to make a bunch of announcements in every single video I do until that weekend. So, and because of that, I know I won't be able to do the videos for those weeks that I'm going to be gone. So, in case you're also on my gaming channel, I just want to make sure you guys know as well, because I do know quite a few people who are subscribed both to my gaming and my book reading channel, and so I just want to make sure that both of them are updated. And since I won't be doing the videos for those 2 weeks on my gaming channel, I'm going to have to do something to make up for it. So I haven't bought season 2, I haven't bought season 2 yet for Minecraft Story Mode. And I know that's already released because Vintage Beef and I think someone else has done plays of Season 2 of Minecraft Story Mode. I'm actually really excited about that. But I'm more hyped for Life is Strange Season 2. So, shoot. And that's what I'm starting next month too on my gaming channel. The Season 2 for Life is Strange. I still haven't bought that season yet. Shoot. I guess that's what I'm going to have to do with my spare money. If I have any spare money left. Dang it. Oh, and by the way, guys, this is a green water bottle, and that is why it is blending in with the green screen. That's why I made jokes in my previous video. Taste the mountain. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into the recap. I've already talked quite a bit. No, I'll bring that up at the end of the video. I'm not bringing it up now. Anyways, in the previous video, part 4, Mystery of the Ski Jump, we got to finish chapter 4, and we got to start chapter 5. Chapter 4 was More Trouble, and it was basically about Nancy and her best friends, like, trying to get more information on Mrs. Channing, the Forest Fur Company, and all that. Let's see. Nancy and her best friends were calling, like, cities that were north, east, west, and south. My little play with words here. I'm gonna have it in an annotation right here. So, they called the 4 different cities that were in those areas. It turns out Mrs. Channing had already gone to east, west, and south, so it meant that she was going to go north. They went north. Turns out she stole Nancy's identification cards. It turns out she stole Nancy's identification cards because Nancy was arrested for shoplifting. Oh my gosh. And they were mink scarves. Who else would buy mink scarves but Mrs. Channing? So she had to go to the police station. The police station found out who she was, and they were like, good grief. They did not understand who she was. They did not know that she was an amateur detective. And for them to find out, they were like, geez, you never know who's going to be the bad apple these days. Out comes the judge. Bess disappeared. She brought the judge forward to the office that Nancy was brought in, and the judge made sure that things were cleared up, and they found out that it was Miss Channing who stole the identification cards. Bess is the official chauffeur for Nancy until she gets her new identification cards, which is nice. I believe we ended with the judge remarking that he's been to Vermont for plenty of summers and knows that there's no such thing as Dunstan Lake. I don't think everyone understands that Dunstan Lake is a place. It's not. So it's going to take them a pretty long time for them to find that out. There is actually a chance that I might reread some paragraphs only because I didn't look up of where exactly I started. I'm trying to stop using my previous videos for references. I need to actually refer to where I stopped when I stopped. Alright, so anyways, let's go ahead and get started. We are in Chapter 5, The Second Nancy. The girls walked with Judge Hartgrave to his office next door, and Nancy thanked him for his help. He asked for more details concerning the mystery. After he had heard them, the judge remarked, I've spent many summers in Vermont, but I've never heard of Dunstan Lake. He turned to his telephone. It won't take long to find out where it is. A moment later, he was talking to a friend at the Vermont State House in Montpelier, the capital of Vermont. When the judge finished his conversation, he reported to Nancy that there was no such place as Dunstan Lake anywhere in the state of Vermont. You have a real mystery on your hands, young lady. Let me know if I can help you. I sure will, Nancy promised. As the girls walked back to the car, Bess said something was puzzling her. If Mrs. Channing had Nancy's license, when and how had she taken it? It must have been when Mrs. Martin and I left her alone in the living room sofa after the accident, Nancy replied. See? I thought so. When Mrs. Channing regained consciousness, she must have slipped the papers out of my wallet. It was in my coat on a chair. Shoplifters are quick with their hands, Bess nodded. Yes, they're much like pickpockets, Nancy agreed. Well, here's my card, girls. It's time we headed farther north. North? Chorused the cousins. Aren't we going to look for Mrs. Channing in Masonville? After that theft, I'm sure she left town as quickly as possible. Since she wouldn't dare turn back, I believe she continued north. For the next hour, Nancy's little convertible traveled down the highway as fast as Bess could drive it, and still keep within the speed limit. Here and there, the girls stopped at small towns and inquired if anyone had seen a woman of Mrs. Channing's description in a long black car. At last, tired and discouraged, they reached the town of Winchester and stopped in front of the Crest View Hotel. George went inside to make the usual inquiry and soon came rushing back. Oh, girls, we found her! She cried excitedly. The desk clerk said her dark-haired woman in a mink coat had registered at the hotel the night before. She isn't in now. Where did she go? Bess demanded. I'll bet to rob somebody. Probably, George replied. But listen to this. I saw the hotel register, and Nancy, she's still pretending to be you. The name Nancy Drew is written down as bold as you please. Nancy's eyes flashed angrily. I've always been proud of my name, and I certainly resent having it connected with a thief. Come on, girls. Mrs. Jennings can't get away with this. We'll stand guard until she comes back. The lobby of the Crestview was warm and spacious. Nancy suggested that they wait in the shadow of the newsstand so Mrs. Channing would not see the girls and make a hasty exit before she could be caught. The trap seemed perfect, but when, after an hour of tedious waiting, their quarry failed to arrive, Nancy became impatient. She walked up to the desk. We're here to see a guest registered as Nancy Drew, she told the clerk. Possibly she came in by another entrance? That's impossible, the man said. There's no other entrance except the back door used by our employees. However, I'll call room 202 on the house phone if you like. There was no answer from the room. Nancy decided to take the clerk, Mr. Evans, into her confidence. When he heard the story, the man became worried and offered to unlock the suspect's room to see if there were any evidence to prove Nancy's theory. When they reached the room, Bess and George stayed in the hall to watch for Mrs. Channing. Nancy followed Mr. Evans inside. He glanced about, opened the closet door, and gave a cry of dismay. Her bags are gone! She left without paying her bill! The fake fur saleswoman had been there all right. Nancy could detect the scent of her exotic perfume in the air, and traces of powder lay on the dressing table. Nancy walked quickly to a window, lifted it, and stared down at the ground 10 feet below. There she could see scrambled footprints and several deep indentations in the snow. Mr. Evans also popped his head out to take a look. See anything? I think I can figure out how Mrs. Channing got away, said the young detective. She slipped up here by the servants' stairway and dropped her bags out the window. Then she went down the stairs again, picked up her luggage, and hurried off. The cheat! I'll make her pay! She can't get away with this! You'll have to catch her first, Nancy thought. Aloud, she said, Perhaps Mrs. Channing left something behind that will give us a clue to where she's going. As she spoke, Nancy was moving slowly about the room, her eyes searching the floor and furniture. Methodically, she opened and shut bureau drawers. Empty. All of them. The wastebasket contained several lipstick-stained tissues. Apparently, Mrs. Channing had taken time to make herself look attractive. Suddenly, Nancy gave a cry of triumph and stooped to pick up something from beneath the bed. In her hand, she held a small black label used by stores to identify their merchandise. Printed on it, in gold letters, was the telltale inscription, Masonville Fur Company. Oh boy. This isn't good. Chapter 6. Locked In. What's wrong, Mr. Evans? Asked an excited voice from the doorway. The speaker was a plump woman of faded beauty who peered curiously into the room. At her question, the hotel clerk whirled nervously. Why, good morning, Mrs. Plimpton. We're merely looking for a guest who occupied this room. Miss Drew, you mean, said Mrs. Plimpton. I haven't seen her since breakfast. We ate together and had a nice chat. Hearing the word chat, Nancy suspected another stock sale. I came a long way to see this lady, she said. I wonder if I might talk to you privately, Mrs. Plimpton? Why, certainly, she agreed. My room's just across the hall. We can talk there. While George and Bess waited for her in the hotel lobby, Nancy listened to the woman's story of becoming acquainted with Ms. Drew. Mrs. Plimpton proved to be a friendly, unsuspecting person, and Nancy had no difficulty in finding out what she wanted to know about the crafty Mrs. Channing. During breakfast, Mrs. Plimpton had admired the fur coat which the younger woman wore. If you like mink, I can sell you a fur scarf at half price, Mrs. Channing had suggested. To be frank, I'm a little hard-pressed for money just now. A little later, in Mrs. Plimpton's room, Mrs. Channing had followed her usual tricky methods. She had persuaded the other woman to buy the fur scarf and also to invest $500 in stock. Jeez, these people are desperate. When Nancy told Mrs. Plimpton that the value of the stock was questionable, tears came to the woman's eyes. If I've made a poor bargain and wasted our family's savings, my husband will never forgive me, she confided. It was just that this woman seemed so kind and sincere. I'm terribly sorry about the whole thing, said Nancy. Mrs. Plimpton, in your conversation with her, did Miss Drew give you any hint as to where she might be going from here? The woman thought a moment. Then she shook her head. She talked as if she planned to stay here for some time. Nancy came to the conclusion that Mrs. Channing must have caught a glimpse of her as the girls entered the hotel. For the moment, the woman seemed to have outsmarted the detective again. Then suddenly Nancy thought of the Masonville fur store. May I see the scarf you bought? Certainly, Mrs. Plimpton replied, going to the wardrobe. The fur piece was indeed beautiful, but there was no label on it. No doubt the one Nancy had found had once been sewed into the lining. May I please use your phone? Nancy called the Masonville Fur Company and learned from the proprietor that every fur piece of theirs had MFC stamped on one of the skins. At the time of purchase, the date was added. The young detective thanked him and hung up. Borrowing some scissors, she quickly opened the lining of the scarf. Near the neckline, there was a telltale MFC, but no date mark. Nancy explained her find to Mrs. Plimpton and what it meant. I'll let that fur company know, the woman said tearfully. Oh dear, what will my husband say? Nancy leaned down and patted her head. Don't give up hope, Mrs. Plimpton. We'll try to get your money back for you. I'm sure we'll catch that thief. By the way, her name is not Drew. It's Channing. If you should ever see her, be sure to call the police. After promising to do all she could for Mrs. Plimpton, Nancy went down to the lobby. Well, it's about time you appeared, George complained. Nancy Drew, don't you think we ever have to eat? Bess asked. I've had nothing but a hamburger since breakfast. I'm practically grown together in the middle. Then prepare to gorge yourself, my pet. Nancy grinned. I saw a nice little tea room called the Golden Swan only a few blocks from here. We'll go there at once. On the way to the tea room, Nancy brought her friends up to date on the mystery. And girls, hold on to your hats, she warned. That fur piece Mrs. Plimpton purchased bears the Masonville Fur Company's mark. George whistled. Hypers! That's what I call piling up evidence, she praised. If we ever do find Mrs. Channing, she'll sure have a lot of counts against her. Bess asked Nancy if she thought stealing furs and selling them was what the woman had been doing all along. I'm not sure where she got her first supply, said Nancy, but evidently business had been so good that she ran out of merchandise and had to resort to shoplifting. Mr. Evans reported her to the Winchester police for not paying her room bill, George remarked. That was a foolish thing for her to do. Yes, it was, but I don't believe Mrs. Channing intended to cheat the hotel, said Nancy. I think something frightened her away. Probably my arrival. As they entered the Golden Swan, Bess said, Let's stop playing cops and robbers for a bit. I want to concentrate on food. The hostess led the girls to a small table beside the window. Here, for the next 20 minutes, they were content to relax and enjoy the delicious food. Where do you want to drive next? Bess asked when they had finished. I have another idea, Nancy replied. Before we leave here, I thought we should canvass all the exclusive shops in town. Find out if they've missed any furs. You girls know? Nancy's voice trailed away. She was staring through the window and down the street. An instant before she had seen a slender, elegantly dressed woman walking briskly along the opposite side of the street. Her hair was shiny blue-black. Mrs. Channing! Nancy rose hastily from the table. Wait for me, she said quickly to Bess and George, and dashed from the tea room. Nancy hurried across the street and followed the woman. Mrs. Channing was moving along so rapidly that the girl had no chance to be subtle in her shadowing. To keep her eye on her target, she had to weave agilely. Seriously, is that even a word? To keep her eye on her target, she had to weave agilely. Guys, I cannot say this word. Agilely among other pedestrians. Mrs. Channing paused to look in a gift shop window. Nancy nearly caught up to her, but the thief had used the plate glass as a mirror. A swift turn on her heels, and she was running down the street. A moment later, she slipped into a small fur shop. Nancy looked up and down the street for a policeman. None was in sight. "I'll have to handle this alone," she thought, and increased her speed. Reaching the fur shop, Nancy gazed cautiously through the plate glass window. The place was artistically lighted and tastefully furnished. She noted the deep piled rug and the ivory and gold showcase. Several choice silver fox and mink fur pieces lay in it, but Mrs. Channing was not in sight. Nancy opened the door and stepped inside. A small, round man moved briskly to meet her, followed by a small and equally round woman. "Something my wife and I can do for you, miss?" the man asked. "I came to inquire about a woman I saw enter this place a minute ago," Nancy replied. "A tall brunette in a mink coat." "Brunette? Mink coat?" The storekeeper raised his eyebrows and shook his head, at the same time glancing quickly at his wife. "Perhaps you are mistaken." "But she must have come in here. I saw her myself. It's important that I find her." "And who are you, please?" "My name is Nancy Drew, and—" Nancy got no further. With a yelp of rage, the little man leaped toward her and pinned the girl's hands behind her back. At the same time, his wife threw a dark cloth over their captive's head. Nancy struggled, but the determined couple overpowered her. With a victorious cry, they dragged her to a rear room. "Unlock that closet, quick!" the man ordered. Nancy heard the click of a door latch. Then she was shoved among some fur coats hanging in the closet. The door slammed shut, and a key turned in the lock. "You can't come in here and rob us," the proprietor yelled excitedly. "We know you for a thief." And that's the end of the chapter, and end of the reading. Oh my frickin' gosh. Okay, so where did I stop though? Okay, there it is. I kind of rushed that ending there. It was getting a little tense though, which is why I kind of rushed through the reading. When it comes to action scenes, you kind of got to be quick, but at the same time, you got to make sure you read at a good pace so you're not stuttering the words like agilely. Why is that a word? Why is that a word? I can't even pronounce the word correctly. If I can't pronounce the word correctly, why is it a word? I mean, I know my vocab isn't that great, but seriously. I mean, I can pronounce pretentious. I can pronounce supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. There, I said it. Oh my gosh. Oh man. So there was a bit of news that I remembered right before I started reading. And again, guys, I need to start doing vlogs. I think that's what I'm going to do next week. Next week, I think I'm just going to do a vlog. I think I'm going to do a vlog like once a month or something. Because seriously, I can't keep constantly talking so much before and after readings. I'm calm. I'm calm. I am very calm. Alright, that's a lie. That's a lie. I can still feel my heart racing a little bit. Jeez. That was a pretty intense scene, though. And a lot happened. Jeez, a lot happened. I wonder what made them say that she was a thief. I mean, that's the second time. You know what, guys? This is not the only time Nancy's name has been used illegally. Because it also happened either in book 3 or 4? I can't quite remember. And of course, one of the Nancy Drew games is actually about her being framed of setting a building on fire. On fire! And normally the Nancy Drew games are based on the books. So I'm wondering if there's a book that I missed that I need to read. Which I no doubt understand and do believe that's a possibility. There are so many freaking books. I talked way too much. I already have to say goodbye, but I didn't get the chance to bring up what's going on. And I really don't want to bring it up in next week's video because next week's video is going to be past the deadline of what I'm bringing up. I'm going to have to be quick about it because I'm already at 6 minutes of the later portion of the video. So I kind of have to rush it a little bit. This application process going on for public relations assistant for Team Missouri of the Special Olympics USA Games. Now, the Special Olympics USA Games doesn't happen until next year. But the application is happening now. The application process is happening now. My deadline is next Wednesday. I am a procrastinator. If I learn something, I don't do it until at least a week before the deadline. I suck. But I do have the application filled out. The other things that I have to do is get 2 letters of recommendations from people who are not in my family. But I've actually thought about it today. I thought about it yesterday. I have figured out that the people who should be writing these letters are people who are in Special Olympics, either that or people who have helped Special Olympics. Because I know for a fact that I need to get someone from Cat TV to do a letter of recommendation. Cat TV is a local television show, a local television channel. And they actually helped Special Olympics a lot with getting our Somo TV up and running. I am super excited about that too, because I'm like the co-host, co-manager kind of thing. I'm actually in the management team for that. I'm in the management team for Alps U. My thoughts are jumbled right now. But yeah, I'm co-host for Special Olympics Missouri TV show. That's what SOMO stands for. But anyways, the application, I also have to get like a 60-second video done, and I'm gonna edit so that I use the green screen and use like a specific photo, which I am super excited about. They said that the quality doesn't matter as long as I get creative with the video. And creative, oh my gosh, I'm gonna use photos of me in my swimsuits and me in different scenes of Somo TV, which is, I'm super excited to use. Super excited to use. I mean, I don't exactly have photos of being in the Somo TV, but I do have like videos and clips where I can do like video picture capture, which should help. I don't know if it's going to make the picture blurry or not, but it should help. I'm super excited, and I've been talking way too much. I gotta edit some stuff out. Jeez, oh my gosh. Anyways, guys, oh my gosh, insane. I got so much to do. I got so little time. Oh, I've already contacted the 2 people that I have in mind, and they haven't responded at all. So I'm gonna have to call them again. One person won't be in their office until Monday, which really sucks. I do hope she responds soon. Anyways, guys, I gotta get going. I'm talking way too much. I love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that like button down below. Which side is it? I can't remember. If you see a red subscribe button next to my name, that means you're not checking out my other videos, as well as the book reading videos for this particular book. Oh my gosh, go ahead and click it, as well as the bell icon right next to it. That'll notify you of all the uploads that I do, which are once a week, Friday evenings, 5 or 5:30 p.m. If not, Saturday, 5 or 5:30 p.m. And if not, 5 or 5:30 is later on the night, because these uploads take a super long time. I hope you all have a great morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you are in the world. I am the Esperanza 2 for 3, signing out. Bye, everyone. Seriously, I need to start doing monthly vlogs, if not weekly or bi-weekly. I cannot keep doing updates like this.